Over 80 million people worldwide currently have glaucoma. By 2050, that number is projected to exceed 111 million. Cataracts are already the leading cause of blindness globally, and in the United States alone, over 24 million people over age 40 have them. Your ophthalmologist will offer you eye drops, possibly surgery, and then the appointment ends. What they almost never do is sit down and tell you about the 7 nutrients that published, peer-reviewed research shows can protect your retinal cells, slow lens clouding, reduce intraocular pressure, and in some cases, genuinely reverse early-stage damage. Not because they are hiding it from you, but because nutrition is not what they trained for. Their 15-minute appointment was designed around prescriptions. This video exists to fill that gap. We go from number 7 to number 1, saving the most surprising and most actionable for the end. Number 7, vitamin C. Your eye contains one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C found anywhere in the human body. The aqueous humor, the fluid that circulates inside the eye and regulates intraocular pressure, contains vitamin C at levels roughly 20 times higher than in blood plasma. That concentration is not an accident. It reflects how critically the eye depends on vitamin C for protection against oxidative damage. Studies found that higher dietary vitamin C intake is associated with a significantly reduced risk of cataract progression. One major analysis in the American Journal of Ophthalmology found that women with the highest vitamin C intake had a 33% lower risk of nuclear cataract, the type that develops at the center of the lens, compared to those with the lowest intake. For glaucoma specifically, older research published in the 1960s and revisited more recently showed that high-dose vitamin C can reduce intraocular pressure in some patients. The mechanism is osmotic. Vitamin C draws fluid out of the eye, temporarily but measurably reducing pressure. Doses of 1 to 2 grams taken 2 to 3 times daily were used in the original studies. This is not a replacement for medication, but as a complementary intervention, the evidence is older than most people realize. Important note, at high doses, vitamin C causes digestive upset in some people. Start low and increase gradually. Food sources include bell peppers, which contain more vitamin C than oranges, kiwi, strawberries, broccoli, and leafy greens. These 2 carotenoids are the only nutrients that accumulate specifically in the macula, the central part of your retina responsible for fine detail vision, and in the lens of the eye. They function as a natural internal filter, absorbing high-energy blue light before it can damage photoreceptors and surrounding cells. The Age-Related Eye Disease Study 2, one of the most significant eye health trials ever conducted, confirmed that a combination including lutein and zeaxanthin significantly reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration. For cataracts, a large observational study found that people with the highest lutein and zeaxanthin intake had a 22% lower risk of cataract extraction surgery. For glaucoma, the research is more recent and points to neuroprotection. These pigments appear to reduce oxidative stress in retinal ganglion cells, the specific cells that glaucoma destroys. Studies in animal models and early human research suggest they may slow optic nerve deterioration through this antioxidant pathway. The richest food sources are dark leafy greens. Kale specifically contains more lutein and zeaxanthin per serving than almost any other food. Eggs are also a meaningful source, and the yolk form is more bioavailable than the plant form. A supplement providing 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin daily is consistent with the clinical research. Number 5. Vitamin E. The lens of the human eye is exceptionally vulnerable to oxidative damage. It has no blood supply. It cannot repair itself the way other tissues do. Every year of exposure to sunlight, screen time, and metabolic stress adds to an accumulation of oxidized proteins inside the lens, and over decades, those oxidized proteins are what become a cataract. Vitamin E is one of the primary fat-soluble antioxidants protecting the lens membrane. Studies have found that people with higher blood levels of vitamin E have measurably lower rates of nuclear and cortical cataracts. A study in ophthalmology found that supplementation over a 4-year period slowed lens opacity progression compared to placebo. For glaucoma, vitamin E's role appears to be primarily neuroprotective, reducing oxidative damage to the optic nerve tissue. Research published in Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that DHA and EPA, the active forms of omega-3, reduced intraocular pressure in animal models through multiple pathways, including improved aqueous humor outflow and reduced neuroinflammation in the optic nerve. A human study found that patients with higher dietary fish intake, the main source of preformed DHA and EPA, had lower rates of glaucoma. The critical distinction here is preformed DHA and EPA from marine sources, not ALA from plant sources like flaxseed. The conversion rate from ALA to DHA in the body is less than 5%. For therapeutic effect, wild-caught fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, or a high-quality fish oil supplement providing at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily is what the research supports.
I want to pause here because we hear from people in our community regularly. People managing eye pressure for years, watching their peripheral vision narrow, feeling like nothing beyond drops is available to them. If you have personal experience with any of these nutrients, whether something worked or something didn't, please share it in the comments right now. The number in your last pressure reading, what you added, how long it took. Your specific experience helps other people watching this more than any study citation I can give you. This community of people sharing real numbers is genuinely one of the most valuable things happening in eye health right now. Number 3, vitamin D. The connection between vitamin D and eye disease is one of the most underreported findings in ophthalmology. Multiple epidemiological studies have found that low blood levels of vitamin D, defined as below 20 nanograms per milliliter, are associated with significantly higher rates of both cataracts and glaucoma. A study published in JAMA Ophthalmology found that participants with the lowest vitamin D levels had a 20% higher risk of cataract surgery compared to those with adequate levels. The proposed mechanism involves vitamin D's role in regulating inflammation and oxidative stress in the lens. For glaucoma, a 2021 study found that patients with primary open-angle glaucoma had significantly lower serum vitamin D levels than controls, and that lower levels correlated with more advanced optic nerve damage. Vitamin D receptors are present in retinal ganglion cells, the cells glaucoma destroys, suggesting a direct protective role. Dr. Kozik emphasizes vitamin D3 specifically in the context of longevity and neuroprotection. Her research perspective is that vitamin D is not simply a vitamin. It functions as a hormone that regulates hundreds of genes involved in cell survival, inflammation control, and mitochondrial function. The retina and optic nerve benefit from all of these mechanisms simultaneously. Most adults over 60 are deficient. Testing is simple and inexpensive. The therapeutic range in most research is 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter blood level, which typically requires supplementation of 2,000 to 5,000 IUs daily, depending on baseline levels. Vitamin D3 is significantly more effective than D2, and taking it with K2 and a fat-containing meal improves absorption considerably. Number 2. Vitamin B3. Nicotinamide. This is the vitamin that has generated the most excitement in ophthalmology in the last 3 years, and most people with glaucoma have still never heard about it. The mechanism comes down to one molecule, NAD+, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It is the molecule your mitochondria require to produce cellular energy. Without adequate NAD+, cells, including neurons and retinal ganglion cells, begin to malfunction and eventually die. The problem is that NAD+ levels decline with age. By the time you are 60, your cellular NAD+ levels may be 50% lower than they were at 40. Retinal ganglion cells, already under pressure from elevated IOP, become increasingly vulnerable to this energy deficit. Nicotinamide is the most efficient dietary precursor to NAD+. It is converted in 2 steps rather than the longer pathway that niacin requires. And in a landmark Phase 2 clinical trial published in JAMA Ophthalmology from Columbia University, high-dose nicotinamide, 3 grams daily, combined with pyruvate, produced measurable improvements in retinal ganglion cell function in glaucoma patients. Some participants showed reversal of functional loss, not just slowing of progression. The comments on videos about this supplement are extraordinary. One person went from 25 millimeters of mercury pressure down to 16 after 4 months on nicotinamide. A 70-year-old reported reversing both diabetes and glaucoma progression on a ketogenic diet combined with nicotinamide. One viewer reduced their prescription strength after 3 months of supplementation. These are not medical endorsements. They are consistent patterns across thousands of people that aligned with the biological mechanism. Important distinctions. Nicotinamide is not the same as niacin. Niacin causes flushing, a hot, itchy sensation through a different receptor pathway. Nicotinamide does not cause flushing. However, at doses above 3 grams daily, liver enzyme elevation becomes a risk. Anyone taking high-dose nicotinamide should monitor liver function with periodic blood tests.
People with diabetes should be aware that high-dose nicotinamide can affect blood sugar regulation. And nicotinamide works best when split into 2 or 3 daily doses taken with food, not as a single large dose. Number 1. Vitamin B3 is number 2 for a reason. Number 1 is the combination you are not building. Every single vitamin we covered today works through a different mechanism. Vitamin C reduces IOP osmotically and protects the lens. Lutein and zeaxanthin filter blue light and protect the macula. Vitamin E protects lens membranes from oxidation. Omega-3s nourish photoreceptor membranes and reduce neuroinflammation. Vitamin D regulates cell survival at the gene level. Nicotinamide powers cellular energy production in threatened neurons. None of them do the same thing. All of them are depleted by the same lifestyle factors: high-sugar diet, low-fat dieting that reduces fat-soluble vitamin absorption, excessive screen time generating blue light damage, poor sleep that reduces cellular repair, and chronic stress that accelerates oxidative damage everywhere in the body simultaneously. The research that surprises ophthalmologists is not any single supplement finding. It is the consistent observation that people who address multiple deficiencies simultaneously, who clean up their diet, reduce sugar, eat fatty fish, supplement strategically, sleep well, and manage intraocular pressure through position and lifestyle, show dramatically better outcomes than those who rely on drops alone. Dr. Kozik's foundational research premise is that the human body is constantly searching for a magic pill, something that will prevent neurodegeneration, protect vision, extend healthy cognitive life. Her answer, after 2 decades of clinical and research work, is that the pill exists. It is not a pill. It is the convergence of proper sleep, proper nutrition, and cellular energy management. The eye does not get sick separately from the brain. The retina is brain tissue. What protects one protects the other. One practical note before we close. If you have significant liver disease, do not start high-dose nicotinamide without medical supervision. If you are on blood thinners, discuss vitamin E supplementation with your doctor before adding it. If you have kidney disease, very high-dose vitamin C can increase oxalate and may require monitoring. None of the supplements in this video replace your prescribed glaucoma medication. They are complementary interventions based on published research, and you should bring this information to your next ophthalmology appointment as a conversation, not a replacement plan. Your next eye appointment gives you one opportunity to ask, have you considered which of these nutrients I might be deficient in? That one question may open a conversation your 12-minute appointment has never had room for. Don't stop here. Click the video on your screen now. This is where most people get the real results. If this helped you, subscribe so you don't miss the next one.